guys, Nicole here. Welcome back to our Facebook page, our YouTube channel. So happy that you are here. Now let's dive into this video of traveling during a pandemic. Hey guys, so recently I was in Oaxaca, Mexico, and it was my first time traveling during a pandemic. And so I want to share with you guys a little bit of how it was traveling during a pandemic. So first and foremost, I was in Oaxaca for business. So I got accepted to this artist residency program where I could work in Oaxaca for a month. So one of the reasons why I said yes to this is that this will allow me to actually do the 14 days quarantine that is suggested. And also if I get sick, at least I'm in a home where there's plenty of space where I could quarantine from away from other people. And I'm also with people that know the medical the medical system, I guess, there. So I wouldn't be completely lost. So I decided to go, and I left in the beginning of March and got back on March 31st. So wearing your mask for a few hours can get really hot and uncomfortable, but we have to do it. We're in a pandemic. Making sure your mask is on completely. You gotta do it the whole time. So when we got to Mexico City, we landed, and you know that little terminal that you walk through from the plane to the actual airport? Sometimes it's an attachment, sometimes it is actually part of the airport, but it's that little terminal, I guess. Would it be terminal or would it be hallway? There you go. That little hallway you take from the plane to the airport. They stopped us all there, and it was one of those hallways that was like had windows, you know, so you could really feel the heat because it's Mexico City and there's no AC running through. But they stopped us all there. They got us all off the plane and left us in a line there. I felt like this is uncomfortable and probably unsafe. We all had to wear a mask, but the reason why they did that was they want to take every passenger's temperature. I don't know where you would have gone if you had a temperature. I don't know where they would take you, but they want to double check because you're now entering Mexico. And then every airport we went to, so Bay Area, Salt Lake, Mexico a little bit more, they want to eliminate how many people you have to interact with, like how much staff you have to interact with, to hopefully decrease the spread of COVID. So they had this woman come on, that works at the airport, and she had everyone's connecting flight ticket. So you wouldn't have to go to stand in line to go see a ticket manager. You wouldn't have to go to a machine and print out your ticket or anything like that. She brought them all on. So she was calling out everyone's name. You got your ticket and you moved on. And then you got to sit in the airport and go on your next flight. Alright guys, we made it. We're relaxing. But just like how calm it is. You see lights, you hear dogs. Some trees. There's my cup of water. This is probably where I'm going to meditate tomorrow. Can't really see it, but there's a hammock there. Beautiful. So throughout the whole time in Mexico, we realized, there's a lot of people in Mexico that I think take the pandemic a little bit more seriously than some of the people in the United States. We all know those people. So everyone was wearing their mask. Even when we went to pueblos that were pretty much really out in the middle of nowhere and were surrounded by trees or fields or nature and had a lot of good air, outside air. So, and they weren't seeing a lot of people. We went to pueblos where there weren't a lot of cars driving by or through the town. So it could have been safe for them to not always have to wear their mask because there's just not a lot of interaction they're doing with people. but in all of those towns, people were wearing their masks. And I thought it was, you know, really smart of them, because a lot of those pueblos, they do have clinics that you could go see when you like sprain an ankle or break a finger or something like that. But if you have COVID, it's quite a trip to get to the closest hospital, you know what I mean? And so I felt like they were just taking it a lot more seriously, because so every time we went to a restaurant, a museum, a store, any type of brick and mortar business that was usually in the center of town in Oaxaca City proper, or just in other touristy cities, so not always brick and mortar places out in the Pueblos, but for the most part a lot of brick and mortar places. There was a lot of things you had to do before you enter. Of course, every business takes your temperature, sort of used to that, living in the Bay Area. Then, of course, hand sanitizer. Then they actually spray you down with, I think, some kind of sanitizer. Like, I thought it was a bit overkill. I'm like, okay. So you put your hands up, they spray you down, you turn around, they spray your back. It doesn't stain your outfits. It's just, I don't know. I thought it was a bit overkill, but I'm like, okay, thanks. And then they would have this like rubber mat in at every entrance that I think was just filled with like some kind of cleaner or sanitizer, and so you would step in that your shoes, so it would sanitize the bottom of your shoes, and then there would be a towel that you would step on to dry your shoes. All of that, and that was in 90% of the brick and mortar restaurants we went to, and businesses that we visited, museums, stores, anything like that. A lot of like big brick and mortar stores wouldn't let you take in your own purse. They would have like actually a section where you drop off your bag that was away from everyone else. I don't know, to contain the contamination. There's like, I'm all for safety, but there was also some things I'm just like, like, how does this help? But okay. Then getting back to the United States. So we had to take a COVID test to come back into the United States. We had to take it within, I want to say 48 hours before we got on the plane. So we were able to find a COVID testing site. Alright, so Nick and I just got our COVID test. So let's get back. I think maybe because we had to take the one to get back into the United States, that's why it cost money. I wasn't 100% sure, but it costs money, which is different because a lot of the COVID testing I've taken here in the States is free. So there it was, you had to pay, and it wasn't that expensive. I want to say like 30-40 US dollars, so it's not that bad. But this, like, I'm so used to when you take the COVID test here, it's like a drive-through. There is like a doctor or a nurse like wearing a mask. But this one, like, they were like cut, like had those hazmat kind of suits, you know, like they were covered, like, and I'm like, again, I think a lot of other countries, because they don't have a lot of the amenities or systems in place that we do, they're extra cautious, which is good and bad, right? There's debate for both, so, or an argument for both. So we went into this like COVID testing site. I think it was like part of a hospital. It was like this one area where it was just COVID testing, and I like the fact that it was away from the rest of the hospital. I'm like, cool. So we went. They were really nice. They had some people there that spoke some English, so that way like we understood like any paperwork we were signing, and it was just general paperwork like, hey, you're paying for this, right? So we went, got our COVID test, the whole nose swab thing. They send you a link so you could check it, and then you could just, you know, get it within, that one was supposed to be within 24 hours, and they actually got it to us really quickly. We had it, I think we took it around lunchtime, and we had it by dinner time. So we had our results and we're back home, so of course it was negative. And when we got to the airport, alright, so we took our COVID test, and then we are going to the airport a few days later. We're all packed, we're ready to go, we're going home. Thing is, you know, with any airport, people don't talk to each other because it's different airports, it's different airlines, people aren't communicating with each other, and I was getting quite frustrated with that. Also, when I was traveling to and from Mexico, I was always on my period, so wasn't always in the best mood. But anyways, so we got to the airport, we had to show, the people that were checking our bags, the airline, our COVID test and our test results. So we had to show it to them on our phone. If you had paper, you show it to them. You had to sign a little thing saying that you did take the test. Then you got on the plane. So we got on the plane from Oaxaca to Mexico City. Then in Mexico City, because somehow that airport was talking to the other airport, we had to show it again. This was the flight to the United States. So I was so frustrated. Again, I was on my period. I was hungry. I was thirsty. And if you know me, I fucking hate it when there's no system. I like orderly lines. I like people that know what their job is. Like, I get so frustrated when I see like operations breakdown. I'm like, oh my god, I just can't right now. So Nick helps out with that. But anyways, people that work for the airlines, right, the ones that make the announcements, there's always that little podium where they're at and they're making the announcements by each gate. So there's like 2 or 3 women up there. That's usually the podium people go when they have problems with their flights, right? But this is where you're supposed to go to show that you have taken the COVID test and that's negative. Well, here's the thing. Again, people are go there when they have problems with their flight. So you have everyone standing in line, and some people have problems with their flights. Some people are traveling with a family back home, so they have 5 people, maybe 3 of those people are kids. So they have to have all this paperwork in order. It was just a madness. So first, you had to stand in this line. Then you had to show them that you had this COVID test. Plus, it was all in this one little area, so everyone's close to each other. Show these women that you're negative on your COVID test. Then you get some other paperwork, I don't know what. Then you have to show it to, okay, here's the gate, here are the seats, here's the little podium that you have to walk up to. Once you show that you're negative testing result, you have to go to the back of the line, go to this other little line, which by the way, a lot of people got confused of. And this is the line that gets you to the gate, where you show them the little paper that these people gave you. Go over here, then they stamp it on your passport, and then you have to show it. Then you have to keep going to the next, do a little other loop, go to another line to actually start walking to your plane. And in this little area is where they'll like check your ticket, and then you keep going. All these processes weren't like horrendous. This is what's gonna happen. What I just got mad about was that it was all in this one little area, and it didn't seem like none of the people that were working were talking to each other. Like it was like a made up system, like they all just got there like an hour before the flight took off. And it was like, oh fuck, this flight's going to the United States. We gotta do more work. It's like, get it together, people. So that was pretty much traveling during a pandemic. Getting there, traveling while you're there. It doesn't take away from the experiences, to be honest, when we were there. Yes, we're wearing masks, but it really does. It really depends also where you're going. Because even when we were in Oaxaca, we got to see a lot of amazing things and got to eat at a lot of cool restaurants and meet a lot of interesting people. But there were still a lot of cool sites that were closed. Like, especially if the site was run by like the government, archaeological sites and just really historical sites, they're closed. So that's like the one downside of traveling during pandemic, is maybe if you read an article like the top 10 things to see in Oaxaca, we weren't always able to see all of those things. But yeah, so I think traveling during pandemic, it's possible. Only do it with caution and do it with safety. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and make sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff.